The following episode of the Carnival of Randomness is sponsored by an important message to you, the people, from Upsitnik and Associates. Every day there are forces that are taking from you, stealing from you. Your money, your time, your freedom. Immense faceless corporations, banks, credit card companies, insurance providers, government agencies, this list goes on and on. When you are under attack and facing crisis, turn to us, Upsitnik and Associates, attorneys for you, the people. When every day becomes a battle, we can advise and assist. We have been advocates for 40 years. Email us through upsitnikslaw.com or call us at 1-866-391-3299 or reach out to us through Upsitnik and Associates on Facebook for a prompt, no obligation communication and consultation. Don't be pushed around.
In a world where all we wanted to do was leave the building. And then the toxic waste drums came, not with the zombie tidal wave, but with the green slime. I got a couple movie titles in there.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. I still remember driving home from Buffalo that one time. It was this wretched stench, and we had to pull off the road. Remember that? And it turned out a chicken truck fell over and caught on fire.
Oh, God, that's awful.
Because we were like, what the hell happened? Saw the next day, chicken truck flips over and bursts into flame.
To add up...
By the way, this is talking shit on movies again. We're back.
Yeah. With a bunch of rando talking. And one of the things was I went
Pat and Steve are with us again.
Hello. Yeah, they wouldn't let me leave.
We wouldn't let them leave.
I was going through my history of underground comics. And there's all this stuff. And there's a thing of a bunch of chickens gnawing on Colonel Sanders' nuts and saying, take this.
Yeah, I guess it's fair.
And it begins.
We were talking about a little bit off camera. We're not on camera, so I don't know what I'm talking about. About being juvenile and sophomoric about some stuff. And I remember being at the zoo, and there were monkeys there, and one of them's like, just takes a whiz, and this little kid, he's peeing, and I can't stop laughing. My friend with me goes, how old are you?
Well, okay, let's get into...
That's the least offensive thing you'll see monkeys doing at the zoo.
Exactly.
Well, let's get into that, because we mentioned in the last one about Blazing Saddles and the fart scene.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes.
Okay, you brought it up. It's your fault.
Oh, no.
I was at the zoo, and I have my opinion. I'm not going to get all about zoo in terms of what I think of it. But one of the things, they had the rhino. So... there's a rhino there. And how cute. He projectiles these poops bigger than my yard out of his rear end.
Animals poop. I mean, they poop. They don't.
Hippos with the poop pinwheel. Yeah. They shit and spin their tail and spray it everywhere.
That's not anywhere close to as gross as what I was implying.
Oh, I know.
So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Well, depends how close you are to the rhino.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get near the rhino.
For those of you who are still listening, what were you saying?
Oh, Christ, I don't even remember.
Blazing Saddles.
Oh, yeah. Why do people not find farts funny in movies?
People do find farts funny. And
but
people
there's
who
a
say
lot
they don't find farts funny are lying.
Exactly. So, sorry, ladies. I know it's the majority of women. Oh, that's not funny.
So. I know
yes, it fucking is.
I know a lot of ladies who find farts funny.
Farts are hilarious regardless of your age.
Yes.
Well, why don't we do classic farts in movies? And mine would be somebody step on the duck. There's another one.
Or Mount Fartmore.
There's another one though. This is one of my favorite. This isn't a guilty pleasure. It probably is, but it's the Hollywood Nights.
Oh yeah.
Yes. With the punch.
Well, no, the punch, but there's a scene. I always thought that dude looked
all
like
I can remember is the punch.
All I thought was that dude looked like Tom Petty, the guy there's a surfer dude who spikes the punch.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where get out of here, he's gonna fart Volare. And the guy, it's Robert Wallace, New Bomb Turk.
Yeah.
And he goes in, they kidnap Stuart Pankin, and they go in to do a talent show, and he comes out.
Dudley Laywicker.
Yeah. And they do a couple when one guy goes in as the one-armed violinist.
Sasha Dubinsky. I got this fucking memorized.
They go in there.
They
go in there and he's playing the violin badly. Then he grabs it with his hand, which is in his pants, and there's a guy that he grabbed it with his dick.
This old little guy. His dick. He grabbed it with his dick.
But they have a fart. He's gonna fart for Larry. Get out, for Larry.
I think I know why we shouldn't do these back to back.
or why we should always do them back to back.
That was a great
okay,
movie.
text 4511 if you think it's good. Text
Did you
4512
know
if you think
for a
it's
while,
bad.
I guess Hollywood Nights was the #1 selling DVD, like on
Really?
catalogs and stuff? Yeah, and remember, it was like one of those movies where it was like grad school for a lot of famous actors. Because Michelle Pfeiffer was in it.
There was a ton of Tony Danza. It was a random.
What I always
weird bunch
got
of
about these movies, like in the Porky
Robert
movies,
Wolf.
like it's like, okay, they have a thing about racism in the Porky movies.
Yeah, the Porky's movies like had a whole thing about like the Seminoles and the and racism and stuff. It was just like this little like subplots of like
But
actual
they got
content.
But they got the one where it's the thing where the one guy's going to go off to Vietnam, and they have the idea of the fit. It's like an American Graffiti take, where the guy's going to go off to Vietnam. Oh, it's only combat training and all that stuff.
Well, it was people saw American Graffiti and they said, you know what, these movies need tits. That's what this movie needs.
That's true. That's crooked, son. You've been screwing around corners.
Actually, Porky's 2, the scene in the graveyard, I fell over laughing.
Oh my god.
Because if you haven't seen it, they have one guy who's going to scare him, and they try to play him as a goal. He gets drunk, and he doesn't come out that Pee-wee's bare rears out there to boogie woogie.
That we could do sophomoric comedies that we loved so much. I mean, Porky's is definitely up
unfortunately, actually, you're around the age. We're around the age when they were people now. They don't make them the way they used to. There's
no, because they're astoundingly offensive in a lot of ways.
Well, here's one for you.
Hard bodies.
I'm going to throw out a movie that I don't know how many of you
Never saw that.
Car Wash.
Oh, Richard
Car Wash,
Pryor.
Yeah.
It
Richard
was a
Pryor.
classic.
George Carlin with the cameo as the truck driver.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor.
Yep. Oh man. And it was just
At the car wash.
The song was.
Yeah. It was a hit.
Just a copyright strike. Dun, dun, dun. But no,
We got permission.
yeah, we got permission from whoever the hell did that. But man, that was, I don't know what made that, and another great one I love, Used Cars.
Kurt
Russell.
Yeah.
With Al Lewis.
Al Lewis as hanging judge, whatever the hell his name was. Hanging
Al
judge.
Grandpa Lewis.
Yep.
Where's Hyman?
Car 54, where are you? Too. He was in.
And
Yeah.
and the one guy playing the two brothers was Duke and Royale Fuchs.
But there is, of course, one of the all-time classics.
Jack Warden.
One of the all-time classics of the era, and everybody's seen it, I'm sure, was Animal House.
Oh,
yeah. Animal House is
It's a legendary status.
I've read it was a fraternity at Dartmouth that it was based on. It's one of those books they couldn't do a review and put any excerpts because every page is so vulgar.
It was a
And
national.
these guys,
Doug
they said,
Kinney, the National
this will make
Lampoon
you
guys.
feel good about our country again. You read what these guys did and these guys and everything, and they have a little follow-up, and they don't have, okay, he used a pseudonym because now he's a mayor somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it's
Senator John Blutarski.
yeah.
Niedermeyer killed by its own troops.
Did you ever see the Mad Magazine take they did on that? And it was Kent Dorfman's character rumored to have been sucked into a tuba.
Oh man.
Your name is Flounder. Flounder.
I even remember that where I saw that in the theater when it came out.
Yeah.
Across
See, that
from
would have
Pittsburgh
been-
Plaza.
I was going to say,
That's
now,
how iconic that
when you went and saw
fucking
that, how was the audience, like, dying?
Oh, yeah.
Because one of the things for me is my parents took me was to St. John Fisher. They'd show movies. When I was a kid, we saw Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And the scene where Lancelot goes berserk, everybody just...
Yeah.
Well, have you ever been in a theater watching a movie and they make some little tiny joke that you are the only one that got?
All
When
the
I
time,
lived
constantly.
in Virginia Beach, and I was the only Jew in the theater that was watching Woody Allen. 2 movies, New York Stories and Broadway Danny Ross.
Oh.
Fucking laughed. I was going to die. Plus, the theater was kind of empty anyways, but
Yeah.
there's people just staring, and they're all looking at me.
Well, it was Beer Fest.
Dear Fest.
A couple buddies from college and I went and saw Beer Fest. The theater was jammed. And they made a very subtle joke, and me and my buddy were the only 2 that got it. It was when Jürgen Prochnow and his kids were in the submarine and they were arguing about how to get the beer recipe back. And he freaks out. I'm like, Papa, what's wrong? He's like, it's these damn U-boats. I had a bad experience. I'm fucking rolling. Nobody else in the nobody else
in the middle of a broken lizard movie.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you see Jurgen Prochnow in a submarine. And
and that's what I'm thinking. I was like, he's got to do something. He's got to do something. I had a bad experience in a U-boat once. Like, there it is.
Well, that's like one of those things like that, just where you get the
yeah. And nobody else got it, and they were looking at us like we were crazy.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of crossover with most people going to see Beer Fest and Dust Bowl.
And Dust Bowl. No, not usually.
That would be me. It's like I have my collective works of philosophy by my collective works of the Three Stooges. I always say I'm lowbrow and highbrow and not middlebrow.
Yeah.
But
I'm unibrow.
That's a question though. Like someone like Woody Allen, and I admit I like his movies. When you get now, this is like Joe R. Lansdale said this. He's a big fan of Roman Polanski, but he will not watch his works because of what he did. But he said, now when he dies, he'll watch it because nobody will get any royalties. How do you feel about that?
This is a huge thing right now. Is separating the artists from their work, and I don't think there's a wrong answer to this. It's a personal preference.
Absolutely.
There are some people and it can differ from artist to artist. There's some artists that you can separate stuff from, and there's some artists you can't. Like I won't read any Orson Scott Card novels, even though they're supposed to be great, because I just find the guy just odious. But had I read them before, I probably would feel differently. That's the other thing too. If you haven't been exposed to somebody and they turn out to be, and you find them offensive in some way or find them problematic in some way, and you haven't been exposed to their work, you probably won't.
Yeah.
But if you've loved their stuff, like I still listen to a lot of Louis C.K.'s stuff that he did before everything happened, and he just started
masturbating in women in corners.
Well, I mean, he had done that, but when it had finally been brought out, and then subsequently he had decided to turn a hard right, which is just whatever, But his stuff about parenting, his comedy about parenting specifically,
it's
is some
easier,
of the best
for example,
stuff.
Like I know, Zach, like you're not a big Bill Cosby fan. No. Yeah. So it's easy that way, but when you really like somebody, I do admit I do really like the
old Bill Cosby albums were so funny, but then you hear the thing about Quaaludes and the
fact that he's making jokes about roofing women in his stand-up.
Exactly. So you're like,
because I'll go back.
I get that. I
saw Eddie Murphy in concert when he came here, and he did like almost 3 hours. And he was hilarious. But he did the one. Have you ever seen the bit where he talks about where Bill Cosby calls him up?
Yeah.
I would like to talk to you.
I'd like to talk to you about some things
to
do. And
you don't say fuck. And then I called Richard Pryor. And Richard Pryor said, well, people be coming to your show. They be laughing. Well, tell Bill Cosby to have a Coke and Smile and shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Yep. Richard Pryor was no Prince either.
No, unfortunately, but see, I love Richard Pryor, and I read his bio.
Richard Pryor, I don't think ever really hid anything he did.
No, he never ran from it.
This is a guy who talked about literally about like.
I mean, he did run when he was on fire.
Well, did you ever see his thing live on the Sunset Strip? So I know y'all been doing this. He lights some matches. This is Richard Pryor running down the street. Yeah, my mother was in a horror house. He'd just come out and say it. That's like, man.
Yeah, he
It's
most really great artists are fucked.
So I
give them a lot of leeway.
Well, that's the thing, and for them some of the people to do some of the things they do, they have to be off.
Yeah, like me. How did I learn guitar? I had to lock myself in the bedroom for years.
I can't listen to this CD now. I've known you for now like an hour and a half.
I just closed the door on a potential follower.
I think maybe it goes down the line a little. Maybe the best way is to say, okay, we're all flawed. And actually, that just came out in an episode of Doctor Who again, where it's if you say you're good or bad, come on. We can have the bad guys, wearing the black hats. But we're all flawed. But then there's the thing where you cross the line where you just say, this is like, no, this is horrible.
Are we gonna have to put a topical thing happens in this episode?
No.
Like ban on it? Okay.
Well, it first happened. We were talking about the Jeffrey Jones thing,
right?
Yes.
I Howard the Duck. Which is
for those that don't know, Jeffrey Jones, probably his biggest role was
the Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, the principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Principal Rooney?
Yes.
In Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It turns out he has a proclivity for small boys.
Yeah, they were asking for it.
Yeah.
Oh no!
That's what happens when you wear those shorts, Sonny. And that
I'm definitely not listening to that CD now, Steve.
But that was an easy one to separate. But then I have the ones where, like, they're kind of dicks, but they've never done anything really terrible.
Yeah.
It's like Tom Cruise. I want him to shut up, but I'll still watch his movies if they're good.
Tom Cruise, and everyone who's ever worked with Tom Cruise or spent time with Tom Cruise has never had a bad thing to say about him.
Like, he's not a dick to people. He's just a dick about his religious beliefs.
Well, it's just, and he also, if you really look into Scientology, and there's a lot of things out there now.
L. Ron Hubbard did it for a drink.
Yeah, well, he is a poster boy, and he doesn't. I don't think he knows or is involved in anything that is, duplicitous or wrong or anything that Miscavige is doing, because I think there's a very small amount of people who know what's really going on.
Enough of this serious stuff.
But let's get out of this.
Has anybody ever seen
More
Werewolves on
farts.
Wheels?
Wait,
Werewolves on Wheels.
No.
You ever seen that?
No.
It's like up your alley, Steve.
Wait, I mean,
Sounds good.
Werewolves on
No.
Wheels?
I think yes, I did see it. I stand
All I
corrected.
can hear, there's a biker gang that pisses off the wrong people, and
Yeah.
they sing a song about the ooblah dooblahs,
Yeah.
and they get turned into werewolves.
Oh, well, that's apparently
And if
that's
you
how
listen
you do
to
it. When the
there's
full
a
moon is
Rob
bright and
Zombie
you sing
song that
the
uses the
ooblah-dooblah.
clip at the beginning.
Which clip?
It's the one song, Rock Motherfucker, that one. And he uses a clip at the beginning of the song from Werewolves on Wheels. What does anybody think of Rob Zombie's films since they brought
I like him.
I love him.
Because I don't really like his music, so I was surprised.
Well, I liked his music. I like him as a person.
That's
Yeah,
the one I like.
yeah.
I like him as a person.
His original movies are okay, but the Halloween remakes crossed the line.
See, a lot of people think that
forgive.
it was, but that what was that most recent one? 13 or whatever.
31.
31. What a pile of shit that
I haven't
was.
seen any.
haven't seen
I
that yet.
honestly,
Well, now
I've
they're
seen-
doing 3 from Hell. It's a Devil's Rejects sequel.
which I liked. I liked
liked those
House of a
first
Thousand
two.
Corpses, and I liked The Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
The Devil's Rejects is very good. I saw his first Halloween. I got about an hour or so into it. I fell asleep, but I hated every second
Actually,
of it.
did you ever see? He did an animated one.
Yeah,
The Haunted World of El Super Beasto.
Oh no,
That was good.
Yeah,
I
What was
liked
the
it.
other one? Son
that's
of
his animation.
Salem?
The Lords of Salem.
I
Salem.
liked that.
That was
fucking
good.
Well, I have
weird.
to do my line. You said it. Well, well, it's a big rock hand, so you want these big long legs. Now, you boys aren't planning on fucking those chickens. Now, well, you mean I'm going to fuck? You look all right, but that boy there looks sexually frustrated.
You inbred inbreds.
That's, I think, would be such a great name for if you ever do a side project. The inbreds.
that'll pack him in.
Now, who were the two? Who were the people in that scene? They were big names. It was
Michael Berryman.
Michael Berryman,
And
Diamond Dallas Page, the wrestler,
Danny Trejo.
and Danny Trejo.
Which one was this from?
This
The
was
Devil's
Devil's
Rejects.
Rejects. Those were the bounty
I saw it
hunters.
like one time. Oh, yeah.
What's
He had
the
a lot of really good people in it.
And Sid Haig,
He's a national treasure.
he really is. And my Sid Haig goes back to, what the hell was it? THX 139 or whatever?
THX 138.
138.
Yeah.
That movie was so weird, but I liked it. Well,
Didn't George Lucas do that?
Yeah, it was George Lucas.
to be
Yeah.
fair, that's how I
Robert
feel-
Duvall, too, wasn't it?
That's how
Yeah,
I
it was
feel
his
about
first
Blade
movie.
Runner.
I can understand.
Like, I watched Blade Runner for the first time in a while, and I'm like, God damn, this is boring.
I can understand.
My
people
first
not
Sid Haig was
liking it.
Planet of Terror or whatever, where they go on the Planet of Evil. They go on the planet, and it takes their nightmares.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think Aaron Moran gets sexually assaulted by a worm.
Joni.
the stuff of dreams.
All right, well,
But there was also what's the
Joni
matter?
loves
Don't you
Chachi,
like
but Joni does
clowns?
not like wormy.
what's the matter, kid? Don't you
you
like clowns?
The only thing
He
that
signed
wrecked
a
House of a
picture of that
Thousand
for me.
Corpses for me was the only thing that wrecked the movies. If you watch that movie and then you go back and watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2,
yeah.
basically Bill Moseley's doing
He's playing the same
thing.
character. Yeah, he's playing the same.
But
yeah,
did you hear what he got? He said he got those crazy rants Otis did from like some gym teacher.
And
I have
that's
no
the-
doubt.
And that's the thing. Rob Zombie is a very
Mosley's a weird dude.
Yeah, and Zombie is a very eclectic man. You look at it, he's pulling from the old 70s movies he liked.
Yeah.
Taking a lot of the character names from the Marx Brothers.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you remember the scene again in The Devil's Rejects.
And the music.
Yeah.
There was one of, I think the first one, they're in the hotel, and Otis Rush, blues guy, is playing on TV. And the second one, there's a clip of Buck Owens from his TV
And also,
show.
you like about Redbone, where you like the song? You like the song? Yeah. Wait. Oh, so you like that pop shit? I thought you were an Otis. No matter what he said to Otis, you're going to be wrong.
What was
But then they do Freebird, I think, great at the end with the shootout.
No,
And
it's a great.
And then another thing about him is, unlike certain directors, Quentin Tarantino, he doesn't feel the need to be one of the main 3 stars in his own movie.
He's only in House of a Thousand Corpses at the beginning.
But his wife is.
Yeah, but his wife.
She'll get naked.
But no, he was in House of a Thousand Corpses for a split second as the horror host assistant.
Yeah, but then
That's
the other
it.
one was the other great line I love was about Grouch. Oh, that to Elvis. Don't you ever say a word about the king. And then that critic in there.
Oh man, that's the thing. Like some of his movies, and that's the thing with any director.
Yeah.
That critic,
I think
played the son of Sam. I was talking about that this morning with my wife. God, I don't know what his name is, but he played the son of Sam a long time ago.
Oh man!
And there was this line because my cat was like just driving me crazy early this morning.
Oh, great!
So
telling me to kill people.
Where he's David Berkowitz all night long. Bark, 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 bark.
Well, if I get another dog, I'm naming him David Berkowitz.
That is really.
Yesterday was the anniversary of his getting arrested.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I remember that basically when I was a kid.
Me too, because I posted the Dead Boys Son of Sam.
He went super born again in Christian in
course.
prison, and
they always do.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
It's like everybody finds Jesus in
nice.
prison. I didn't know he had a record.
and that's nice.
I remember Summer of Sam, the movie there.
Yeah, that was a Spike Lee, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was good.
But
I like that.
there are some directors that have their big hits, but a lot of their stuff, and then if you look at it later, once the hype is gone from it, it's like, man, this is not as good as it once was. Well, like a lot of movies just don't hold up.
And it's a time and a place thing too. A lot of movies are of their era and they don't hold up, and some of them are classic. It's very hard for a movie to be a classic, like a true classic.
Right.
You know?
And I hate it when a movie comes out and people are like, oh, this is going to be an instant classic. Why? What do you base that on?
Stop.
Like, it was Avatar. When Avatar first came out, people were like...
Still haven't seen it.
You know what?
Much.
Here, I will put it this way. Visually, spectacular.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Plot-wise, it's Fern Gully.
Yes. I already know what the whole story is. I don't care.
People are always like 2 months after it came out, it's going to be a cult classic. Why? What do you base that on?
I guarantee you, he's making like a bunch
More
of
more
sequels.
Oh, they've already had 3 in the pipe.
They're probably not going to do that well because it's been too long.
Right? What the first one
Too
called?
many things have happened.
2009.
Yeah. But I remember, I lived by a theater, and my
think
friend who
people
was a
are over
manager
it.
there said that it was the IMAX was sold out for months ahead of time, and I just didn't care. And then I finally watched it at home. This is a movie.
Yeah, but it's like, man, I wish I would have seen it in IMAX because it would have made it a lot better.
I feel like that was the way you were supposed to see the movie. It was my same thing with Cloverfield. I saw Cloverfield, and I saw Cloverfield at the theaters, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I said, oh, this is, I really like this. This was really cool. And I was just like, I am never going to watch this movie again because unless it's on a big screen, it makes no sense for you to watch it. It's just nothing. It's just, it was one of the movies that just needed to be huge because of what was going on. But like on it, it's like... Yeah.
Well, and I think that's something I've talked with several people about, is seeing a movie in a theater can make a mediocre movie better.
Earthquake. Remember Sensor Hounds?
Yeah, that's Jesus. But that's and they used to. Then that's the thing. Like home video wasn't a thing. It was a movie you were going to see on theater, and then at some point it might be on late night TV. But like it was just you're only ever going to see this movie in a theater.
Right.
Well, you know what's coming out now this fall? There's another Terminator film coming out.
Good Lord! Can we
I
just
just
put a
read
bullet
about
in
that
that?
yesterday or this morning.
Oh, jeez! It's the third time it's been rebooted. So
Arnold is back again.
he's always back. He's only been in. He's only
How can
one.
he be back? How can he be back? He never left.
Yeah.
It's like, how can I miss you when you won't go away?
He was even in Salvation. I mean, Garbie, who was CGI, but he was still in it.
He was in Genesis.
He was in Genesis, which I liked what they were trying to do with Genesis.
I watched Genesis a couple times.
I know why
don't
you
forget.
did.
Yeah, I don't have to say that.
Don't forget, he was also in Kindergarten Cop.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about Arnold movies.
Okay.
Okay, I actually liked Maggie. I admit that.
And
Maggie
How
was
about
hurt.
Hercules in New York?
I was just going to bring up
Arnold
Hercules in New York. No, Arnold Strong.
Arnold Stang, though.
And they dubbed his voice.
And they
dubbed his voice because his accent was so thick.
There are versions
Hike.
now where it's not dubbed, where you can get
Hercules!
it.
Hey, hike!
No, did anybody see The Villain?
No.
It's a movie. It's hard to find. It's out on video now. It's from the mid-'70s with Kirk Douglas, and Arnold's the stereotypical, it's a comedy, the good guy sheriff.
Oh, yes!
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yes,
Yes, I remember
seen
that.
that.
Yes.
I've seen... it's been a million years.
And I've seen Pumping Iron a lot.
Pumping Iron.
Franco Columbo.
I guess they didn't know what to do with them in his village, so they had him lift a car.
It's not broken. It's dislocated. The bone is sticking out of the skin. I'm a chiropractor. I know everything. That was because I actually watched the old World's Strongest Man where he was carrying the fridge and his leg blows out. They didn't show it, but it was a compound fracture.
Yeah.
And he's on the stretcher saying, "Oh no, I am a chiropractor. It is just a dislocation." And the paramedic's like, "No,
It's not. It's not.
But in Pumping Iron, it turned out years later, Arnold said he was just playing a character.
Yeah.
He said you had to have a good guy, a bad guy.
Well, yeah.
And they all, because he said, Denny Waller in the movie said he got people like hate mail, everything. Because he said he wasn't a jerk like he was in the movie, but they needed the characters. They needed the young contender.
Mm-hmm. You need to make, it's the whole concept of documentary style things or reality television. It's just like, it still has to be watchable.
yeah."
And if it's just
Like, there's only one person on the planet Earth that can get away with making a straight documentary. Ken Burns.
Yeah.
Period.
Country music's next.
but he also
can't
he
wait
picks
for
a
that.
topic that has a story. You know, he picks
Right.
a topic that is a story.
Like, and it's amazing. You hear about the top 5 or 6, the big popular ones. The Civil War,
Vietnam.
all that. I am amazed. Like, he's probably done 40 or 50 documentaries.
he's done
He
tons of them.
did the Statue of Liberty. He
There's
did
a
one.
baseball one, I
Yeah,
think.
baseball, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Central Park 5.
yeah.
But really, the ones you think of, the Civil War, the Vietnam War,
Jazz.
which wasn't as good as it could have been. I liked baseball. I own it. The National Parks one was really good. How the hell did we get on documentaries?
I don't know.
I was going to say,
we'll go back to
has
Arnold
anybody
films.
ever seen the European version of Conan the Destroyer? Anybody?
No, I have not.
I guess it's like a lot wrong because Arnold, I guess, was really pissed at that movie after the first movie because he thought they made a kiddie movie.
Yeah.
Remember, Will Chamberlain is Bombetta.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Will Chamberlain.
Sarah Douglas.
Yep. Sarah Douglas.
And was it the second one where James Earl Jones?
No, first one.
Oh,
No, it was Tulsa Doom.
Tulsa Doom.
The Riddle of Steel.
Oh,
No,
those
that was
movies
hard. The
were
first one
entertaining.
was pretty raunchy and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I and it's John Milius.
Yep.
It's got a great soundtrack. It's
And it's one of the only time I really like those sword and sandal type movies.
yeah.
Because I'm not a big fan of that genre,
Well, I
which is why I
avoid
don't do
Red
Game of
Sonja.
Thrones.
Oh, I like the old shitty ones from Italy from the early.
Oh,
That's a guilty pleasure.
Tommy,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Tommy, have you ever seen? Do you like movies about gladiators?
Peter Graves.
Okay,
is
so
just-
what's Arnold? Getting back to Arnold.
yeah.
We haven't exhausted Arnold yet.
Oh, no, you
Arnold
can't.
still got some. All right. What's your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? What is your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger? Yeah, see?
I'm not going to do a favorite first, but because it's been very controversial. You love it or hate it. What do you think of Last Action Hero?
It's
not my favorite.
It has some very funny moments in it, but it felt like it was a movie, and it probably was written by like 20 people and just kind of stapled together, and it could have been great, but it just.
And also, Total Recall pretty much has the thing. It's same. The title is the same as the story. That's
you
about
know,
it.
you know which one I'm going to throw in for? Twins.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
That
funny.
was just so funny. And Danny DeVito was the
DeVito
perfect
is
character
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that
Yeah.
movie.
It's a funny movie.
I'm going to throw that up at probably my
it's
top
a sweet,
three.
It's a
Jeff
sweet
Beck's
funny
in
movie.
it.
And Jeff Beck's in
Beck's
it.
Oh,
He's playing with some girl.
I'm going to throw that in my top 2 Arnold
Remember the thing with
time.
the Stallone thing, too, where you see Stallone does the flex?
Yeah. And the original Terminator will always hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I'd have to
How
say
about
it's
Raw Deal?
Oh, Raw Deal.
Raw Deal.
What about Red Heat?
Red Heat was
Red
not. Red
Heat.
Heat was not good. Jim Belushi, no.
Commando.
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 Oh, Commando is great. John Matrix.
The Running Man.
I said I'd
Running
kill
Man.
you last.
I died.
Running
I'm
Man
sorry.
2, utterly different than the story.
Oh,
check. But
I'll
Richard
be
Dawson
back.
stole it.
Only in a rerun.
And Dynamo, you got to tell the story about Dynamo, the Erlen.
Oh, Erlen von Licht.
And he's one of my favorite movies, The Wanderers.
He
You'd
was
love that
also,
movie if you
in
never saw
The
it.
Wanderers?
Yeah,
Well, he
you'd
was
love
also
that.
in
The
Stir
50s
Crazy.
movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
He was in
He
Stir
Terror
Crazy
the
as well,
Baldies.
as Grossberger, I believe. And he was the one that sings. He was a trained opera singer. I think he was, Scandinavian or Danish. Like, genius of a human being. Very talented singer. He was a computer programmer.
Wow.
And he was just a fascinating guy and sadly taken way too early.
Cheer if you love Dynamo.
Yeah, cheer. When he was singing, that was him
yeah.
actually singing.
And then
Yeah,
Jesse
he was
the
an opera-
Body was in there.
Yeah, he was an opera. I've been killing guys with my bare hands when these assholes were still in diapers.
My favorite, since you asked.
Well, yeah, we were just working down
I
the
know.
pipe.
I'm sorry. I'm
I
awful.
didn't go on yet, so go on.
I would have to say Predator. I would have to say
Predator.
because that movie has a collection of some of the best badasses and one-liners.
I was
and
going to say one-liner.
yeah,
Get to the
and-
chopper!
and for it was a pretty original movie for its time.
And the thing is, I always thought Carl Weathers was underused because I think
Oh,
the guy
he was very good.
I love Action Jackson.
Action Jackson is a phenomenal movie.
Action Jackson should have been a thing. It really
I
should have.
own
I always
I
heard
own
story. I don't know
Action
what
Jackson.
happened because it started well, and the rumor was there was going to be a bunch of them, and there never were.
I just don't think it didn't do well. I don't think
And it's
it
a
did
shame
well.
because it was a fun movie.
And the thing was, people don't appreciate him as Creed either because he took that as a badass, sort of like an Ali take.
Yeah.
And that's why I think in a way like Joe Frazier comes in, he's like, "You're next, Joe," but he plays the part so well, and you don't think about it really.
Plus he's not really like
not a villain.
He's not the villain. He's the goal. He's like, this is the goal. The goal is to get to this guy.
And if my theory is
and
right,
Rocky
I mean,
doesn't win.
really the whole Rocky
Goes
thing
the
was
distance.
it's really the story of the unrequited love between him and Rocky.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole thing. When those guys hug in 3 stuff, I think
Yeah.
a lot of those guys. But I also think that people just look at, well, he's just playing that part. No, he was damn good.
Yeah.
No, Carl
And
Weathers
he's got a
is very,
charisma
very,
about him.
yeah.
I really like.
Well, look-
I like the Curse of Devil Island of the Bermuda Triangle, where he fights a giant sea turtle sent to him by Satan.
Yeah, classic. Yes. Did you make that up?
No, it's
Okay.
real. It's a TV
Can't make
movie.
that up.
No, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
Can't make that
It
up.
is a truth is stranger than fiction,
Yes.
and that actually happened.
He played himself on Arrested Development, and he was hilarious. You got yourself a soup going. Just so good.
I like-
just taking
the way he
piss out
does
of
it in
himself.
Action Jackson, like, calm down, kid.
Yeah, he's cool.
But in Predator too, and then you have the body in there.
I ain't got
again.
time to bleed.
He got time to bleed. So many great
And that became the title of his autobiography. I ain't got time to bleed.
Bill Duke,
Bill Duke.
who is just a fascinating human being.
Oh yeah.
A very talented human being, a very intimidating person.
Who was the native guy? Sonny.
Oh man, I can't remember.
His name, Sonny.
Everybody was so good.
Yeah.
Like,
God, I'm sorry. I can't remember his name, but he was fantastic in it. Just a the badass tracker.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just like, I love that whole
Wasn't he in
these are
48
the guys you
Hours?
send in when
I think he may have been in 40.
Yeah, he was on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love those genre bender movies, as I'll call them, like Billy the Kid versus Dracula, or like from
Santos versus El Santo versus the vampire.
or
woman.
like From Dusk Till Dawn, where you start off it's a heist movie, or like Predator, it's an
I did
army
like that.
movie,
I like
and
that.
all of a sudden there's the twist where it turns into like a sci-fi movie or
Yeah.
a horror movie.
it's hard to do well, but it was done well. It's very entertaining.
And I actually really like From Dusk Till Dawn. We never talked about.
From Dusk Till Dawn, I liked it. I thought they were very good examples of both of the directors' styles.
Agreed.
Like,
One
and
of
there
the best compliments I got in my band some kid came. We were playing Sticky Lips years ago, and afterwards, these really young, to early 20s were like, "You guys are like the vampire band in Dusk Till Dawn."
That's kind of awesome.
Pretty much what you're going for.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I was like,
now let's kill that fucking band.
I thought that was like
That's
pretty
great.
fucking great.
And Danny Trejo, who doesn't love Danny Trejo?
Danny Trejo is another national treasure. Is another guy who is an amazing human being.
Did you see recently he just pulled a kid out
Yeah,
of
he saved like a baby from a
burning car.
From a burning car.
Or no, car flipped over and he pulled a 2-year-old kid out of it.
Or as he did it, or as he said, how do you prepare for a role?
Yeah.
Waco.
What was that? The director said, "You're going to be playing a convict. Do you think you can act like a convict?" I think I can give it a shot.
Give it a shot, considering he was one.
And
Well,
like
what
his
did he do,
ink
like
is like,
12
isn't
years?
it his
He had a
mom or
pretty
something?
significant time.
Yeah, like I guess the big tattoo
It's
of
called
a
a
woman.
flaca.
Yeah, he said I think it's an homage to his mother.
Makes sense.
But he is just fascinating.
Restaurateur.
Yeah, from what I hear, Trejo's Tacos is very good.
And that's in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
where you have
Mexican
more
food
competition
all
than
over the place.
Any place
I'm
else.
sure that it probably helps. It's Danny Trejo,
Right.
but you have to have a good
I always
product.
think
and apparently
my
he
view
really
on that
does.
is the name will bring you in, but what
The product
going
makes you
is the
stay.
product.
Right,
yeah, that's
right.
it.
But one of the things I saw him first movie I ever saw him in, it was either Anaconda for the cameo when he gets forked by the snake, or the other one was this movie called. It was a 3-hour movie that didn't have an ending called Blood In, Blood Out, or it was Bound by Honor was the other thing. It was about basically a history of these 3 brothers living in L.A. who go to prison and.
Okay, I've heard. I remember Blood
That
and Blood Out.
sounds real familiar.
Yeah, that
But
sounds like
Trejo's one of the
something I've
guys
seen.
in jail, playing a guy in jail.
Was it? But then there was the infamous Heat when he really took off, playing a character called Trejo, originally enough. And if you've ever listened to interviews with him, he is really funny. It's like I loved him. Like, what's the best movie you ever did? Heat. It got me out of a lot of speeding tickets.
But he's also in a very Harold and Kumar Christmas.
He is.
Yeah, he's up for anything.
Yeah, he popped up in Bubble Boy. He popped up in Anchorman. He was
Machete.
Yeah,
he
Machete and
was
Machete.
he was the bartender when Will Ferrell changed. Like, that dude cleans up good.
I really hope they do Machete in space.
If they don't,
It sort of is a sequel, unfortunately, to Mel Gibson in it.
but if they don't, they're missing the. They're
But
missing
the first
point.
one, I love the first one where it's like Machete improvise.
I
I thought Machete didn't text.
Machete improvise.
No, Machete adapts.
Yeah, Machete.
And then he just like,
But he is, yes, a national treasure. And then he said, "I'll be watching some movie with my kids." Thinking, God, what a piece of shit movie. And then I realized halfway through it, I'm in this.
oh, I'm in this movie. Ooh, this movie is not good.
When you have a film credit of, several hundred film credits.
Well, he's another version of Lance
I was
Henriksen.
going to say
like
Lance
that.
Henriksen.
Oh yeah,
Oh, what, another Sasquatch movie? Give Lance a call. He might want to be in it.
he'll be up for anything.
But I was actually, for some reason with Arnold, I was thinking back to like the heyday of action movies where... And I think, like, I sort of like Taken in that because I think they sort of went back to those kind. But one of the ones I always remember was there was a film called Southern Comfort.
Yeah, Powers Booth.
It had a great cast.
yeah.
Powers Booth, Fred
R.I.P.
Ward, Scott Carradine. And what they are is they're the National Guardsmen in the forest in Louisiana who get some Cajuns pissed off at them.
Oh.
And they have guns, but they have blanks.
Because it's like a war game thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
so they're in the middle of a war game, so they're not. Yeah.
Yeah,
It is
so
a
they're
weird
armed,
one.
but not armed.
Maybe you'll know this one. You two won't. I bet even you won't know this one. There's a movie from the 70s I saw on late night TV called Shoot. It's got Ernest Borgnine in it. It's a bunch of guys that go hunting, and there's these guys hunting, and for no reason, the guy shoots one of the guys. So they plan the rest of the
Story
movie.
of Dick Cheney. Oh, sorry.
Oh, he shot his friend in the face with a shotgun.
So what they do is they plan the rest of the movie to get revenge. They're going to go back there, and these guys aren't going to be. They're not going to be there. It's a really weird movie. So if I'll spoil it if you want, because
only spoil
you
it.
can't even
40
you
years
can't
after
even
the fact.
find it on video.
Oh,
so
I'll find
they
it.
go looking for them. They go
I'll
out there and
find
they
it.
can't find these guys. And what the heck happened? Those guys were there. They're hiding under the stone. They come out and they kill them.
All right.
But it's a weird movie.
I'm going to have to look for that now. Shoot.
Have you seen Vice?
Yes, I've seen Vice. I think it's probably pretty
Wingshauser?
close to right on.
Was that an old movie?
Oh, you mean Vice Squad?
Yeah.
You mean with
movie.
Ramrod, the killer pimp.
Yeah.
Remember Wings Hauser and all those?
Hauser.
All right.
Getting anything in here?
Killer Pimp made me think of something.
Whiskey Business?
No, how about the
Guido, the
how
killer.
about the works of Rudy Ray Moore?
Oh, the Dolomite.
The Dolomite. I have the Dolomite box set.
Petey Wheatstraw, the
Petey
devil's
Wheatstraw, the devil's son-in-law.
I have never seen any of those, unfortunately.
If you want to watch it, first one to go and watch Petey Wheatstraw.
Yeah.
But those movies are they're special.
They had a whole blaxploitation period, of movies.
Oh, it's crazy.
Cotton Goes to Harlem, Superfly.
Yeah.
Superfly changed my life.
Not Jimmy Snuka, dude.
Okay, hold on a minute. We gotta hear
gotta
about
hear
this
this one.
Okay,
Yeah,
how did
man.
Superfly change your life?
I just thought that was like just the cool, because I saw it like, I don't know, I was 8. And well, eventually I did go down the drug path, but I just thought, man, this just encouraged me to just love black culture.
Okay.
And I just thought this was just like the coolest. That and Shaft.
You're like a
just
8-year-old pimp.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, for me,
All of a sudden I was like,
wow.
well, I'm
Okay.
going to
You know
grow
what?
up. I'm going to have a cool fucking Cadillac like
Yeah,
that.
I'm gonna get my elevator boots and
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
And then I started I was a big New York Knicks fan, so immediately I remember Walt Frazier?
Oh yeah,
Clyde?
Yeah,
He was like
Earl the Pearl?
Superfly. Yeah, and Earl the Pearl. So I was like, I'm drawn to all these cool sports guys.
well, remember they
Instead
always
of
the story with the Knicks was always they all came in separate limos, every one of them.
Yeah. So instead of rooting for Roger Staubach, Mr. All America,
Yeah.
I was into Joe Namath. Mr. Stay Up All Night Drinking, screwing stewardesses, and then,
Wearing
winning the
pantyhose.
football game the next day.
Or Ken Stabler would be like hungover drunk
Yeah.
at 5 in the morning.
There's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there is a trailer that is seen on the television for a movie with Joe Namath in it.
Oh,
CC
and
and Company.
Yeah, CC and
it's about
man.
I think a biker gang that wants to
Yeah.
rape.
Yeah.
like
That
somebody.
was another one I saw as
Yeah,
a little
there's
kid.
a trailer
the
on the-
movie starts, he pulls into the supermarket, and he walks in, and he makes a fucking bologna sandwich. He opens the bread, he opens the bologna.
Just in the store?
Yeah, he walks over, opens the mustard, gets a plastic fork, and he's eating it, and he drinks it down with a bottle of milk, and then just walks out, gets on his bike, and they all of a sudden Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels do CC Ryder blast on the soundtrack. That was another one. I was like, oh, fuck.
Well, for me, it was the Blackula movies.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, Blackula.
Now, wasn't he
Shakespearean
a Shakespearean
actor.
Oh, yeah,
actor?
no, he was a very,
A very talented actor.
William
blanking on
Marshall.
Marshall.
Yes.
And have you ever seen
very,
Watermelon Man?
Oh,
It's about-
Godfrey Cambridge.
No, it's about a supposed white man. You can see
Yeah.
the makeup who turns into a black man one day.
No.
Great.
Sounds,
And
How about-
Godfrey
that sounds like
Cambridge.
it might be a tad problematic.
No, it was
It
really
actually
like
makes the
It
point.
was a
though.
commentary.
Actually, no,
Okay,
it
yeah,
actually
yeah.
does not like
I
it.
would hope so. I would hope so.
But actually, Godfrey Cambridge is in Son of the Blob.
Okay.
really.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got a 2-pack with the Blob and Son of the Blob, and Godfrey Cambridge is in the beginning of it.
Gotta love those DVD bins.
The only reason you own some of the movies is because they came on a pack with a movie you really wanted.
A friend of mine passed away, and he had tons of those. And I wound up with that. Like that's how I wound up with like half of the Friday the 13th movies
Well, that's-
on DVD. Was he
that's-
had them all in these multi packs?
That's how I ended up with the 100 best sci-fi movie packs after Mayhem died.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tony.
Yeah, after
yeah,
Tony
yeah,
passed.
Fred.
Yeah, I like that.
I got he made sure that Bonnie gave me that and his George the Animal Steel picture.
If you ever do this one, we've mentioned this before, but Tony, you know what I watched the other day? Vulgar. Tony would just go, ugh. You know the story, don't you, about Tony Mayhem? This was a great guy. He's a good friend of ours.
Tony Mayhem.
Tony Mayhem,
Tony
he
was
was-
Tony Girardi.
Tony Girardi. He was a
Great guy.
He's a bouncer at the Toad. He was
just one of the. If you could
Rochester
ever
character.
think of defining salt of the earth person, that
Yes.
would have
But
been
one of
Tony.
his problems was when he was a kid. He's like 4 years old, so his dad let him go to the bathroom at the circus, and he said that he's taking a whiz. He looks over and there's a clown staring at him, and ever since then he's had a phobia about clowns.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
I would too if that happened. First of all, I had a phobia of clowns just because clowns
are creepy.
Yeah.
I got hit in the head at Madison Square Garden as a little kid. This clown came with a hammer and whacked me. It fucking hurt. I was like 3 or 4, so I wasn't
like a hammer?
Phobia.
But like, was it like a plastic hammer? But still,
it was solid plastic. It wasn't like a.
You were 3 or 4 years old. You should have fucking arrested that guy.
I was fucking
That's
crying.
assault.
Exactly.
Child abuse.
Well, they had one.
Clowns.
Tony, they can't get him now. You know, God rest his soul. But at one time, he's renowned. Remember, he took a dump in the urinal at the bug jar.
Yeah, and then
well, that makes you a hero.
He definitely did that.
That makes you some kind of hero.
But now his favorite movie, and I've still never seen it, Diner. Who's seen
I love
Diner?
Oh, Diner's a great.
I've never seen it, and it's not because I don't want to. I just
Barry
never.
Levinson. It's another. That's another one. Honestly, it's another big movie I've never seen.
That was
Kevin
actually
Bacon.
The cast is amazing.
Yeah, there's
and Mickey Rourke actually in a very good role.
Who else? Guy from Wings.
Oh, Stephen Webb. No,
Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah,
no, not Thomas Hayden Church.
Who the hell was the other guy?
The other guy, the guy who played the boring brother. I can't think of his name. Yeah, I know. He was in that too. I think
he was too. But they have a scene in that movie.
Everything's leaving.
They have a scene in that movie where Boogie, he was Mickey Rourke's character. There's a thing about going to a theater. Okay, going to a theater, and they make a bet that he can score with this girl, so that he'll do naughty things with them. So he sticks his parts in the popcorn bowl.
Dick in the popcorn box.
Yeah. And it was Ellen Barkin, not just some chick.
Yeah.
Ellen Barkin, who was hot back then.
Yeah.
Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern. I'm trying to think of his name.
Daniel Stern is one of those.
Tim
Daly.
Damn it. Tim Daly. Thank you.
I used to watch that show.
I love that show. I've seen every episode.
You know, it's
of
one
Wings.
of those shows I used to watch all the time, and I've never watched it on reruns, though. It's like one
Thomas Hayden Church. And then later,
Woody
Tony
Harrelson.
I was going to
Shalhoub.
say Tony Shalhoub.
No, Woody Harrelson was on Cheers.
No, he was on Cheers. But the guy who played
Porky
Roy,
was
the heavyset guy, everyone was great on that show. Faye, the old lady, like just crazy, and it's like, it was so good.
Yeah, it was.
I liked Wings.
I like Wings.
Yeah.
I never watched it.
But did anybody have?
Changed my life, Steve.
Don't count John. You know, who would be your, like we talked about these action films and stuff. Yeah, I did. It's like literally you remind me of talking about like Shaft and everything. I saw one of my friends at a high school reunion. I said, "How you doing, dude?" It's like, man, I got into drugs. I did everything. I'm living in my parents' house right now, and he looked at me. You know, the first time I smoked pot was with you. And I felt like cringing, going, "Oh, well, I've ruined one person's life."
Hey, man, no, you didn't. The person ruined their own life.
Exactly.
That's actually. Anybody ever seen Dazed and Confused?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
many a time.
Linklater. I mean, his movies are just like watching stuff happen.
Yeah,
but entertaining.
That was
Matthew McConaughey.
That's where we got. That's where we got McConaughey. McConaughey.
That was the birth of Matthew.
That was really. I mean, he'd been on other stuff before then, but that was
Reign of Fire.
Oh, Reign of Fire. You know what? Reign of Fire. That's another. Oh, the guilty pleasure movie. That's another big guilty pleasure movie. They're just like, so there's dragons, okay? Anyway, and they destroy the world. So here we are.
There was no girl with silver hair, though, darn it.
Oh, I know.
But the thing that got me, how
was a
come
cool movie.
there was
That was
Christian Bale in it?
Christian Bale.
But how come there was only one dragon instead of where did all the rest of them go?
Well, they started to eat each other.
They're
eating each other.
Well,
up.
they also they were all male, I think, or something. They had to kill them because there was one female that birthed all these dragons, and then they killed that one.
That was
and
the
rest of
one
them were,
that
they couldn't
killed
reproduce.
Christian Bale's mother at the beginning.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's my phone.
Oh, the world is
Never mind,
ending.
The world is ending. This is why we
some
love
kind of
random stuff
copyright,
like that.
some kind of copywritten music went off.
But
in my
one of the
pants.
things we used to do, a movie that stands out in my head is Dragon Slayer, and the reason it does is because back at the theater,
Good Lord, what's
I don't even
happening?
know what the hell is even happening. Sorry. All right, I'm shutting it off. I'm shutting it off.
great. That's great. Arnold's calling to complain.
You did not mention Junior.
Jingle all the way.
Bleep that
Jingle
little
all
bit
the
of
way.
the out of.
No, that's why
the
we're
episode.
random. That's why stuff happens.
Well, all right.
But one of the things that got me for Dragon Slayer, and the reason I mentioned Dragon Slayer is back in the day, there was a theater down where like Pet Toys and everything gates. And the reason was my friends and I used to go in, we would buy tickets to PG movies. No, we would buy tickets to PG-rated movies, and then we would go to rated R movies.
Yeah.
So we
to.
saw Heavy Metal there and Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Heavy Metal. What a
Heavy
movie.
Great movie.
Oh.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it not too long ago, and it doesn't age great, but it's still pretty good.
Good
John
soundtrack.
Candy.
I don't want to
Great soundtrack.
walking around with my dork hanging out.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, actually, Steve, I was talking to Steve about this earlier. When did the karate chop go out of fashion in movies?
Yeah.
Austin Powers, judo chop.
Yeah, exactly. But back in like the 70s and 60s and 70s for TV shows and movies, that was the ultimate offensive move.
It wasn't even a thing.
You know?
Just like
it doesn't. It's something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, it's not.
The karate chop.
I guess
Karate
back
chop.
Like what I was saying, it was even in westerns. You'd see
Yeah.
bar fights and like Clint Eastwood. And,
You know why? Because it's an easy gag to do as far as stunt goes. Because you can shoot it dead on. Because with punches, you always have to shoot them at an angle. Yeah. With a karate chop, you can shoot it pretty much dead on, and it's just about pulling it back.
That's true.
A little bit about stage.
Well, one of the
combat,
things you go the famous scene in Indiana in Raiders of the Lost Ark where he shoots the guy with the sword, and that was because Harrison Ford had the flu.
I was going to say he wasn't feeling well.
But Bruce Lee, he looked at martial arts films. He goes, "The problem is, any dude's got a gun. We're going to have a problem." So that's why, for example, like in Enter the Dragon, guns are banned from the island.
Yeah. What was the other? Oh, why were all the action stars named John?
because it's a good, honest American,
John Rambo,
salt of the earth name.
It was John Rambo, John Matrix,
because of John Wayne,
John Die Hard.
yeah.
Can't remember his name.
John
McClane.
John Wayne Gacy.
Well, he was also, and John McClane was a character from a series of novels too. Like he was.
But it's just amazing. And speaking of Rambo, did you ever think that it's Brian Dennehy's fault that the war in Iraq happened?
Because he sent Rambo, because he didn't kill John Rambo.
Exactly. He started the Bosnian War.
There's a scene.
That was Brian
There's a
Dennehy's
scene on the outtakes of First Blood where Rambo dies.
Yeah,
because he died in the book.
Yeah,
he was
supposed to
die. Yeah.
They would have found a way to bring him back, though, I'm sure.
Oh, of course.
It's Last Blood. Have you seen? There's
gonna be But
Last Blood Part 9.
One of the things I was really into was the old martial arts movies. I was big into Sonny Chiba movies.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Street Fighter.
Sonny Chiba.
Street Fighter.
And there's the other
we
one.
watched a bunch of Street Fighter movies today. You know what didn't happen in any of those movies?
What?
Street fighting.
Yeah.
It was like fighting in anywhere but the street. He was fighting on boats. He was fighting in buildings.
They fought on top of a building, for Christ's sake.
He was
Never
fighting
in a
all
street.
kinds like boat fighter,
there's the
building
one-
fighter, hallway fighter. No streets.
There was one, and I think it was like Lone Wolf and Cub was the comic, but it was like this dude going around with a baby carriage.
Yeah, that's Lone Wolf,
Yeah, but then there was like the Masters of Death, which were all these weird guys. And then I found like late at night on this, there was a Syracuse channel or a Toronto channel we could get on a TV. They had all these really weird Japanese horror movies.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Are you talking like old school
Bizarre.
Japanese horror movies or like
Just bizarre.
or the
like
newer?
the old 70s ones would probably be it.
They had the one like a ghost, the head breaks off, bites him in the nuts, and the guy kicks it out of his legs.
Well, actually...
Their mythical creatures are all very, very scary.
Oh, yeah.
The Panangalan, and it just like that's the headless, the vampire who's a head that floats out of the body and has his intestines and organs hanging out, and you just like...
But do you remember years ago, Rob, you and I were at a Borders, may they rest in peace.
Oh, yeah.
And you found Tokyo Zombie. And then you loaned it to me, and this had the most original take on a zombie movie. Because the guy gets bit by a zombie, thinks he's a zombie, and just lets his friends go. Turns out he wasn't a zombie, but thought he was because the woman that bit him had false teeth. It was an elderly female zombie who had false teeth and didn't break the skin.
Zombie!
No, but he was...
But he thought he was a zombie, so he just started being a zombie.
So, and they had zombie cage fighting.
Of course,
and he was zombald, the bald zombie.
Oh, God.
This was a case of taking it to the cashier and her looking at it going, what the heck is this?
And then it's like, my God, this is amazing.
Yeah,
they had an animated sequence in it, too. Literally, they go back, and then in the middle, it goes animated.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for a particular reason? Or
No.
they just ran out of footage?
For a particular reason. Japanese movie.
Okay.
That's all you need to know. That's like saying, why did this random Indian movie have a dance scene in the middle of this funeral? Because Indian movie.
Because all those movies.
And the other one was Killer Tomatoes Take Paris with John Astin.
Oh, dear God. I own the original Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. But not, and I saw a killer.
Was George Clooney in the original one, or was he in the Return of the Tomatoes? I know, yeah.
Revenge of the
I know
Killer
he was in a
Tomatoes.
Killer Tomatoes movie. But, yeah.
That's always good on your resume. That's why you look.
He has a lot of bullshit on his resume.
Tomatoes.
He's done a lot of horseshit.
And then the subsequent
He's the first to
cartoon
admit it.
show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was a Killer Tomatoes.
Very short-lived cartoon show, Killer Tomatoes.
Oh,
Jesus.
there's another one. You ever see Evil Roy Slade with John Aston?
Yes.
It's another comedy.
Evil Roy Slade.
It's another comedy western.
Yeah. I actually saw it recently, too.
Look out when your nickname is Evil Roy.
Oh, and don't forget, John Aston was the crazy, goofy scientist in The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Oh, that's another show that was way ahead of its time.
And who was Briscoe County Sr. was R. Lee Ermey.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Briscoe County
I think
Sr.
it was 14 episodes, I think.
Now who was the villain? Was it Peter Coyote?
No, the villain was Billy Drago,
Oh, that's right, Billy Drago.
who recently passed away. And
Billy Drago died.
Yeah, he died
Christ,
maybe within the last couple of years. Yeah, and I just look, reading interviews with Bruce Campbell was that he was probably the nicest person he'd
That's
ever
what I
met.
heard.
Like he was just like, he always played bad guys because he had this look, and he could really do it well. But he was in real life was just the sweetest, nicest. He would give you the shirt off his back, like he would always just, hang out with the crew and like
Well, as we wrap it up, I'm going to make a tie-in back to another movie that I've always loved. Lord Bowler in Briscoe County Jr. was also Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem, in Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, fighting against Bruce Leroy.
That's another movie we could have talked about.
Oh, it's coming back. We're coming back for more.
We'll do it.
But
There's another one I got to get to is Death by Temptation, too.
Yeah, there's so many good ones that we got to put a pin in.
All right.
But Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, The Last Boy Scout.
Yeah. Oh, the last Boy Scout. If
I get out of this,
pick
I'm
up
gonna-
a surfboard, hit a guy, say, hang 10, motherfucker.
If I get out of this, I'm going to dance a fucking jig.
Yeah.
What's he doing up there? I think he's dancing a jig. But yeah, so rest in peace, Lord Bowler / Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem. If you've never seen Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, do it.
Do it. Find
Do
it.
it.
It's out there.
Find it. It is easily available, and it's Bruce Leroy against Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem, and that's all you need to say.
Yep.
Who wants to plug something?
Speak up again.
I can replug the same stuff as the last episode.
And we'll
That's all I got.
and if this comes out after events, we'll put the
We
links to
should
his.
put this one out first, just to confuse everyone. Because we're referring to an episode that hasn't happened
Well,
yet.
we traveled in time over the holidays
Yes.
for episode. We met Santa Claus.
We did.
Yeah. But see,
I got nothing.
and that's the good thing about these,
More D&D. More D&D.
more D&D upcoming.
More Rock and Roll Rumble every
Rock and Roll
Saturday,
Rumble.
106.3 FM.
And we got to talk about next time, too. We have to talk about 1970s car movies like Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry,
Yeah.
Smokey and the Bandit. all
Cadillac
those.
Man.
Yeah. Convoy.
Yeah.
That's
Gumball Rally.
No, Cannonball
The
Run.
most amazing
It's getting
thing
into the
about
80s, but still
Convoy
very
was
good.
Sam Peckinpah.
yeah.
What the fuck?
I think we can end with a Sam
know.
Peckinpah reference.
Man, we can have some more Tombstone Hands, too. How about Peter Gunn? That was really
Yeah, there we go.
So we're going to do Peter Gunn from Tombstone Hands. We'll see if they clean the crap out outside. Otherwise, we'll be here for a third one.
Otherwise, stay tuned for a third episode. And on that note, we will see you later.
Bye.